Hi, I'm Sarah. Today, I'm going to read you the story of Ashley, which is titled like this. My sister threw her 90 guest promotion party at my house without permission while I was on a trip. I demanded to cancel it, but she laughed. I'm not letting you spoil my triumph. So, I called the cops and remotely watched the chaos. Well, let's go. I'm Ashley, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a VIP account manager for a big company that makes and sells medical equipment. The pay is really good, which is how I managed to buy my dream house a year ago. Let me tell you, finding the perfect place was no joke. I spent months looking at different houses, rejecting one after another. Some had great locations but terrible layouts. Others had beautiful interiors but were in sketchy neighborhoods. I was getting pretty frustrated with the whole process, but then I found it. The house that checked every single box on my list. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a gorgeous kitchen with granite countertops, hardwood floors throughout, and a backyard that was perfect for morning coffee. The only thing I didn't love was the price tag. After I got the keys, I decided to throw a small housewarming party, nothing crazy, just the people who mattered most to me, my parents, my younger sister Emma, a few close relatives, and maybe 4 or 5 friends from work. I'm not really the type for huge parties anyway. I prefer intimate gatherings where you can actually have real conversations with people instead of shouting over loud music. Emma is 7 years younger than me, so she's 27 now. We're pretty different people. She loves big, noisy parties with tons of people, while I prefer small, quiet gatherings where you can talk about interesting things. During my housewarming, she mentioned that I should have invited more people and had more alcohol, but I just brushed off her comments. That's just how Emma is. She's always been into the party scene. Over the months that followed, Emma started visiting more often. At first, it was just weekend visits, but then she started showing up on weekdays too. She'd call and say she was in my neighborhood or that she wanted to see how I was decorating the place. Sometimes she'd stay for dinner, and sometimes she'd even spend the night in my guest room. Emma rents a small 1-bedroom apartment across town, so I guess my house seemed pretty appealing to her. When she'd visit my place, she'd leave messes everywhere. She'd kick off her shoes in the living room, help herself to food from my fridge without asking, and leave wet towels on my bathroom floor. I tried talking to her about it a few times, but she'd get defensive and call me a control freak or say I was obsessed with cleanliness. Eventually, I just started cleaning up after her myself. It was easier than dealing with her attitude, and I didn't want to cause family drama over dishes and towels. Then something big happened at work. My boss called me into his office and told me about an incredible opportunity. The company had identified several potential clients in Europe, private clinics that needed specialized medical equipment. These weren't just any clients either. We're talking about multi-million-dollar contracts that could set the company up for years. Ashley, I want you to handle this personally, my boss said. You're our best account manager, and these clients need the VIP treatment. I'm talking about a 3-month trip to Europe. You'll be meeting with clinic directors, giving presentations, negotiating contracts. This could be huge for your career. I was excited and terrified at the same time. 3 months in Europe, handling the biggest contracts of my career. It was a dream opportunity, but also a massive responsibility. I spent the next few weeks preparing like crazy, researching the clients, preparing presentations, getting all my paperwork in order for the extended business trip. About a week before my flight to Europe, I realized I needed someone to look after my house while I was gone. I couldn't just leave it empty for 3 months. First, I decided to install some security cameras for peace of mind. I had a company come out and set up cameras around the outer perimeter of the house, one by the front door, one covering the driveway, and one in the backyard. I also had them install a few cameras inside the house, including one in the living room. After getting the security system set up, I drove over to my parents' place. Mom, I need a favor, I said, sitting at their kitchen table. I'm going to Europe for 3 months on business. Could you maybe stop by once or twice a week? Just water the plants, dust a little, make sure everything's okay. I pulled out my spare key and set it on the table. Mom picked up the key and looked thoughtful. You know, Ashley, it might be easier if Emma just stayed there while you're gone. She could take care of the house full-time instead of me having to drive over there constantly. I felt my stomach drop. The idea of Emma living in my house for 3 months unsupervised was pretty much my worst nightmare. Mom, I'd really prefer if you just checked on it yourself, I said carefully. You remember what her room was like growing up? It was always a complete disaster, clothes everywhere, dishes stacked up, trash overflowing. She's never been good at keeping things clean. You're exaggerating, Mom said, her voice getting a little sharp. Emma's not that bad. You're just very particular about your house. I could see this conversation wasn't going well, but I had to try one more time. Mom, please, I'm just asking you to water my plants and check on things. I don't want Emma living there while I'm gone. Mom sighed and nodded. Fine, Ashley, I'll take care of your house myself. Thank you, I said, relieved. I really appreciate it. We talked for a few more minutes about my trip and when I'd be leaving. As I was getting ready to go, I went to the bathroom. On my way back, I heard Mom talking to Dad in the kitchen. That girl is too demanding, Mom was saying. And she's so selfish when it comes to Emma. Her sister just wants to help, and Ashley acts like she's some kind of criminal. I stood there, listening, feeling hurt and angry. I wasn't being unreasonable. I just knew my sister and what she was like. But apparently, wanting to protect my own house made me selfish and demanding. I quietly left through the front door without saying goodbye. So, I went on my business trip to Europe. The first few weeks were absolutely crazy. I was flying between different cities, London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, meeting with clinic directors and giving presentations about our medical equipment. These weren't just regular sales pitches either. I was dealing with multi-million-dollar contracts for specialized equipment that private clinics needed for their patients. My day started at 7 o'clock in the morning and didn't end until 10 at night. I'd have breakfast meetings with potential clients, then spend the afternoon doing detailed presentations about our ventilators, surgical equipment, and diagnostic machines. After that, I'd be back in my hotel room, preparing for the next day's meetings. I was so exhausted that I'd basically just shower and collapse into bed. During the first month, I called my mom maybe 3 or 4 times to check on things back home. She always sounded cheerful and said everything was fine. I stopped by your house yesterday. Ashley watered all your plants and dusted the living room. Everything looks great. These conversations made me feel better about being away for so long. I trusted my mom to take care of things, and it sounded like she was handling everything perfectly. But then, about a month into my trip, something weird happened. I was in my hotel room in Munich, exhausted after a particularly long day of meetings. I decided to check social media before going to sleep, just to see what was happening back home. I was scrolling through my feed when I saw a post from Emma. Big news, everyone. Got promoted at work and planning a huge celebration party next week. You all know where this is going down. Then she added some winking emojis and laughing faces. I stared at the post, feeling confused. Where was she planning this party? She lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment that could barely fit 10 people, let alone a huge celebration. I started reading the comments under her post, and that's when I really started to panic. OMG, Emma, are you really doing this at that place? One of her friends wrote. Girl, you're so brave. What if she finds out? Another comment said, this is going to be epic. Can't wait to see the look on her face if she ever finds out what happened at her precious house. Emma replied to that comment with more laughing emojis and wrote, if she knew what I was planning to do at her house, she would absolutely lose her mind. My hands started shaking as I read these comments. They were clearly talking about my house, but being secretive about it. Emma was planning some kind of party at my place, and she was keeping it secret from me. I kept scrolling through the comments, hoping I was wrong, but then I saw the comment that made my stomach drop completely. Emma, is there going to be a full bar at this party house? One of her friends asked. Emma replied by posting a photo. It was a picture of my bar area in my living room. I recognized every single bottle, the expensive whiskey my boss gave me for closing a big deal, the vintage wine my coworkers brought to my housewarming, the imported vodka that was a gift from one of our European partners. I felt like I was going to throw up. Emma was definitely planning to throw her promotion party at my house, and from the comments, it sounded like she was inviting a lot of people. I couldn't sit there and let this happen. I immediately called Emma's number. My heart was pounding as I listened to the phone ring. "Hello," Emma answered, sounding cheerful. I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice calm. "Hey, Emma, congratulations on your promotion. I saw your post about it." "Oh, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's been a long time coming." "So, you're planning a party to celebrate?" "Yeah, just a little get-together, nothing too crazy. I'm thinking of having it at a restaurant somewhere." I knew she was lying. I'd just seen the photo of my bar and all those comments about my house. "Emma, don't lie to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I know you're planning to have this party at my house." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then Emma sighed. "Look, I don't know what you're talking about." "Emma, I saw the photo you posted of my bar. You're showing off my alcohol collection to your friends like it's yours." Another pause, then Emma's voice changed, becoming defensive. "Okay, fine. Yes, I'm planning to have the party at your house." "So what? So what?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Emma, you can't just use my house for a party without asking me." "Why not? It's just sitting there empty anyway, and I'm taking care of it for you." "How many people are you planning to invite?" I asked, dreading the answer. "About 90 people," she said casually, like it was no big deal. 90 people? I felt my blood pressure spike. "Emma, are you insane? You want to bring 90 strangers into my house?" "They're not strangers. They're my friends and coworkers. And do you know how expensive it would be to rent a place for 90 people? This promotion is a big deal for me, Ashley. I deserve to celebrate properly." "I absolutely forbid you from having this party at my house," I said firmly. "Find somewhere else to have it." Emma laughed, actually laughed. "You're not going to ruin this for me, Ashley. This is my moment, and I'm not letting you spoil my triumph just because you're paranoid about your precious house." And then she hung up on me. I immediately tried calling her back, but she wouldn't answer. The phone just rang and rang until it went to voicemail. I tried 3 more times, but she was clearly ignoring my calls. After Emma hung up on me, I decided to call my mom. "Hi, Ashley, how's the trip going?" Mom answered cheerfully. "Mom, we need to talk. I just found out that Emma is planning to have a party at my house." Why is she even there in the first place? There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Well," Mom said slowly, "I thought it would be easier this way. Instead of me driving over to your house every few days, Emma could just stay there and take care of everything." It made more sense. "Mom, I specifically told you I didn't want Emma living in my house. I asked you to take care of it yourself." "Ashley, you're being dramatic. Emma likes your house, and she's doing a good job taking care of it. Everyone's happy." "I'm not happy," I said, trying not to shout. "And now she's planning some huge party with 90 people. You need to tell Emma to cancel it and find somewhere else." Mom's voice got that tone she used when she thought I was being unreasonable. "Ashley, Emma just got promoted. This is a big achievement for her. Can't you just let her celebrate? She can celebrate anywhere else, not in my house with 90 strangers." "You're being too demanding and selfish," Mom said sharply. "Emma worked hard for this promotion. I'll make sure she cleans up after the party. Everything will be fine. It's just one night." Before I could argue anymore, Mom hung up on me too. I couldn't believe it. Both my sister and my mother had hung up on me in the same night. I tried calling Mom back, but she didn't answer either. I was furious and frustrated. I sent text messages to both Emma and Mom, making it crystal clear that I was against this party happening in my house. I also demanded that Emma move out immediately. Emma's response was just a laughing emoji. That's it, one laughing emoji, like my concerns were some kind of joke. Mom didn't respond to my messages at all. She completely ignored them. I sat in my hotel room, feeling helpless and angry. Here I was, thousands of miles away, working my ass off to close these important business deals, and my own family was betraying me behind my back. But then I had an idea. If they wanted to play games and ignore me, I could play games too. I decided I would let Emma have her party. I wouldn't call or text them anymore. I'd just wait and see what happened because I had a plan. The week passed slowly. I threw myself into my work, meeting with more clinic directors and finalizing contract details. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about what was probably happening at my house. Emma was probably getting everything ready for her big party, inviting all her friends, planning to use my alcohol, and trashing my place. I checked the security cameras a few times during the week, and sure enough, Emma was living there like she owned the place. I saw her having friends over during the week, drinking my wine, leaving messes everywhere. My house looked like a disaster zone. Finally, the day of the party arrived. I was in a hotel in Amsterdam, and I had a very important meeting the next morning with a clinic that could give us our biggest contract yet, but I couldn't focus on work preparation. All I could think about was what was about to happen at my house. Around 7 p.m. Amsterdam time, which was about 1 p.m. back home, I opened the security camera app on my laptop. I wanted to watch Emma's party in real time. At first, I just saw Emma rushing around the house, setting up decorations and moving furniture. Then people started arriving, a lot of people, way more than should fit comfortably in my living room. I watched as person after person walked through my front door. They were loud and already drinking before they even got inside. I could see them handling my furniture carelessly, spilling drinks on my hardwood floors, and treating my home like some random party venue. The crowd kept growing. I counted at least 60 people in my living room alone, and more were still arriving. They were everywhere, in my kitchen, on my back patio, even upstairs in areas where they had no business being. I watched them raid my bar completely. All those expensive bottles I'd collected over the years were being passed around like cheap party favors. Someone was using my nice glassware, and I could see several people just drinking straight from the bottles. This wasn't a small celebration. This was a full-blown rager happening in my house. And Emma was acting like the queen of the party. She was showing people around my house like she lived there, pointing out different rooms and acting like the hostess. I was watching my worst nightmare unfold in real time, and there was nothing I could do to stop it from thousands of miles away, except there was one thing I could do. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. Well, actually, I dialed the non-emergency police number from my hometown police department. How can I help you? Hi, I need to report a break-in at my house. I'm out of the country on business, and I can see from my security cameras that there are a bunch of strangers in my house right now. What's your address, ma'am? I gave them my address and explained that I could see the break-in happening live through my security system. We'll send officers over right away to check it out. Thank you, I said and hung up. Then I settled back with my laptop to watch the show that was about to unfold. About 10 minutes after I called the police, I saw the flashing lights through my security cameras. 3 police cars pulled up to my house, and several officers got out. This was about to get very interesting. I watched as the officers walked up to my front door and rang the doorbell. The party music was so loud that nobody heard it at first. Finally, one of the officers started banging on the door loudly. Emma appeared at the door, and I could see the look of panic on her face when she saw the police uniforms. She was gesticulating wildly, clearly trying to explain something to the officers. I wished I could hear what was being said, but I could only watch the show. One of the officers was asking Emma questions, and she kept pointing inside the house, like she was trying to prove she belonged there. Then the officer said something that made Emma look even more panicked. He was probably asking for proof that she lived there or had permission to be there. That's when my phone rang. It was Emma calling me. I answered the phone and could immediately hear chaos in the background, loud music, people talking, and Emma shouting over all the noise. Ashley, there are police at your house. I've got them on speakerphone right now. You need to tell them that I'm allowed to be here and that everything's okay. I could hear that she had indeed put me on speakerphone, which meant both the police officers and probably some of the party guests could hear everything I was about to say. Officer, I said in my calmest voice, I'm the homeowner, and I'm currently in Europe on a business trip. I did not give my sister or any of these people permission to be in my house. They are trespassing, and I want them all removed immediately. I could hear Emma gasp through the phone. Ashley, what are you doing? Emma screamed. These are my friends. This is my promotion party. I told you not to have this party at my house, I said, still speaking calmly so the officers could hear everything clearly. You chose to ignore me and do it anyway. Now you're dealing with the consequences. One of the police officers took the phone from Emma. Ma'am, this is Officer Rodriguez. Are you confirming that you want all these people to leave your property? Yes, officer, I want everyone out of my house immediately. None of them have my permission to be there. The officer handed the phone back to Emma, who immediately started screaming at me. You bastard! How could you do this to me? This is supposed to be my special night. Then she hung up on me. I turned my attention back to the security cameras to watch what happened next. The officers went inside and started telling everyone they needed to leave. Most of the party guests looked confused and started gathering their things. I could see people grabbing their coats and drinks and heading for the door. But Emma wasn't giving up that easily. I watched as the officer told Emma to step back, but she kept arguing and gesturing. Then she tried to push past the officer, like she was going to go back into the house despite being told to leave. The officer grabbed her arm to stop her, and Emma completely lost it. She started fighting with the police officer, trying to pull away and yelling. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My sister was actually fighting with a cop because she didn't want to leave my house. Within seconds, 2 other officers came over to help restrain Emma. They managed to get her hands behind her back and put handcuffs on her. She was still yelling and struggling, even with the handcuffs on. The officers walked Emma to one of the police cars and put her in the back seat. All the party guests had cleared out by then, and my house was finally empty again. I called my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, who I had a good relationship with. Mrs. Peterson, this is Ashley. I'm so sorry to bother you, but I need a huge favor. Could you go over to my house and lock it up? The police just cleared out some trespassers, and I need someone to secure the place until I get back from my business trip. Of course, dear. I saw all the police cars and wondered what was happening. I'll go over right now. Thank you so much. Just lock all the doors and keep the key with you until I get home. About an hour later, my phone rang. It was my mother, and she sounded furious. Ashley, how could you do this to your own sister? Emma is at the police station because of you. Emma is at the police station because she broke into my house and threw a party without permission, then fought with police officers when they told her to leave. She didn't break in. I gave her the key. You gave her the key to water my plants, not to move in and throw parties. And I specifically told you I didn't want her living there. You need to call the police and fix this right now, Mom demanded. Get your sister out of jail. No, I said simply. Emma made her own choices, and now she has to deal with the consequences. I warned her not to have the party, and she did it anyway. You're being cruel and vindictive. I hung up on her and turned off my phone. The next morning, I turned my phone back on and saw dozens of missed calls and text messages from my parents and Emma. From the voicemails, I learned that my parents had to post bail to get Emma out of jail for resisting arrest. The police called me to ask if I wanted to press charges against Emma for trespassing. I told them no. I just wanted her to stay away from my house. I called Mrs. Peterson and asked her to hire a cleaning company to deal with the mess from the party. I told her I'd pay her back when I got home, plus extra for all her trouble. For the rest of my business trip, I blocked my family's phone numbers so they couldn't contact me. I focused on work and successfully closed several major contracts that would set my career up for years. When I finally came home after 3 months, the first thing I did was thank Mrs. Peterson and give her a nice gift from Europe, along with money for the cleaning company. A week after I got back, my parents and Emma showed up at my door. They looked angry and determined. "We need to talk," Mom said as they pushed past me into my house. "You owe me $5,000, Mom announced. That's how much bail cost for Emma. I laughed out loud. "Are you serious? You want me to pay for Emma's bail because she got arrested for trespassing in my house?" "You caused this whole situation," Emma said. "All I wanted was to have a party to celebrate my promotion. At my house without my permission," I pointed out. That's when I pulled out my laptop and showed them the security footage I'd saved. They watched in silence as I played videos of Emma living in my house for weeks, making messes, having people over, and generally treating my place like her personal playground. The look on their faces was priceless. They had no idea I had cameras installed. "You all betrayed me," I said quietly. "You went behind my back, lied to me, and completely disrespected my home and my wishes. I can't trust any of you anymore." "Ashley, we can work this out," Dad said, speaking for the first time. "No, we can't. I need a break from this family. I need time to figure out if I even want relationships with people who would treat me this way." I told them to leave, and they did, though Mom made sure to tell me how disappointed she was in me on her way out. That was 6 months ago. I haven't spoken to any of them since. I changed my locks, upgraded my security system, and I'm living my life peacefully without the drama.